Well, I think we're up and running here. Yes, we are. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 10th day of April 2019. Well, it's a Wednesday, a Mercury day. If you're working magic, you might focus on balance and reason and communication and things like that. It's a lovely day out, although I think the clouds are starting to come in. We were able to get out and do a walk. That was nice. We haven't been able to for the last few days because it's been really cold and raining, and I don't like to get wet, so I just don't. The one thing, like in Hawaii where it rains all the time and it's a warm rain and everything, that's one thing. That's kind of nice, I don't care if I've been there and we've been to Kauai twice. And it rains a lot, depending on the side of the island that you're on, but it still rains regardless. But the last time we were there, we stayed up in Princeville, and so that's the rainier part of the island, and it'll just all of a sudden just open up and just dump a bunch of rain and then stop, and it just, I don't know, it's different. It's just different. You don't seem to mind so much, maybe because you're in Kauai, I don't know. But I didn't seem to mind it as much. Of course, if you lived there, maybe it'd be a little different. You might get tired of it. I don't know. But when you only spend a week at a time, you can pretty much endure anything, I think. Well, I managed to get that one post I was talking about I was going to do on homeschooling. Really not so much on homeschooling as much as how I felt about it when we were doing it. And what it was like, when I was ill and they were in college and everything. So anyhow, I put that up yesterday. And so if you want to check that out over at imsteppingaside.com, if you're interested in reading about that, that's up. And then today's the 10th, so I guess I'll do another lunar transits post, if you want to call them that. It's a little more than that, as we've talked about, but it just gives lots of things on there that if you're working magic, you could go there and go, oh, okay, I can do that, and okay, this is active, this element's strongest, so that kind of thing. So anyhow, if you like, you can go check that out later today. It'll be up sometime today on the blog. Well, let's get going. Draw the first card for today and see what we've got. See what tarot influences there are first up, and then we'll go on to a rune. 6. As always, I take the 13th card, and I got the 6 of Wands. Usually I draw Pentacles. Lately, that's all I've been drawing is Pentacles, or a preponderance of Pentacles. So here we have a little bit of will. He's come back from... you don't see the chain mail or anything, but he's likely coming back from some kind of battle or some kind of event of some sort. And you see people traveling, walking alongside with their own staffs held high. You see the wreath. So there was some success. He's also wearing a garland around his head. So this denotes success and a shared experience. Basically, those 6 is about shared experiences, essentially, and being aware of that. One of the meanings of the number 6. But basically, what we're talking about here is not just success; it's success, but with help. He's coming back, and maybe he's been successful in battle or successful somewhere on behalf of the group, on behalf of the tribe, on behalf of the kingdom. But basically, it's a balance of energy as well. But you could look upon it as victory, It's on behalf of others and with the support of others. So again, it's a shared experience. But let's see what else we can add to this. Well, we have the devil, which is the 15th card of the major arcana, another 6 energy. But here we have, here we see we're chained to desire, aren't we? We see as above, so below, similar in the magician card, where he's holding one hand to spirit and one hand and one hand down to earth, to form. We see the inverted pentagram, which is not really about the devil. It's about a focus on physical matter, or focus on ego versus spirit. So in that lies the devil, if you will. But it's an interesting card. It's another 6 energy. That's a shared experience. But instead of the 6 of wands being a more external manifestation of that idea, the devil is the shared experience within. It's the polarity within. It's how we balance that within. So there, it's an internal situation instead of this shared experience of the 6 of wands. The 6 of cups is another one, random acts of kindness, shared abundance. But let's see if there's something else that I'm missing that might apply here. If we are, okay, there's one thing here that I had written down, misuse of force, and that's what I want to define. Okay, if we're looking at the devil from the standpoint of how we balance polarity, that's one aspect, just as this is an aspect of the 6, and this is an aspect of the 6, okay? But in terms of misuse of power, if this was derived from a misuse of power, then that sort of suggests something entirely different, doesn't it? So this 6 then takes on, it has more to do with expressing will and manifesting will in terms of oppression of others. This is about oppression, and either the inner oppression that we do by not staying in balance, by not keeping polarity in balance, so then we're not extending ourselves to other people in a balanced way. We're not taking care of self and nurturing self in a balanced way. So the devil could indicate a misuse of force and a misuse of will. So either we've resolved that issue and we're able to do this now. So we're going to have to see with the 3rd card just exactly, because we're going to change the order of this, I think. We're going to see just exactly what the 6 of wands is really about. Is this something to be proud of, in other words? Or are they coming back from something, from an event or a battle or or something, where they're victorious because of misuse of force and because it's ego run amok? I mean, this looks like a really idyllic scene, right? But we really don't know. We don't know how they got there. And we still don't know, because again, this could be misuse of force. But let's see. Let's draw another card. Well, now I'm a little concerned because we have the King of Swords. I'm going to draw a 4th card simply because I'm not comfortable with this reading. I'm not a fan of the kings. I'll tell you that. I've said this many times. But this could indicate some authority that comes in and rights the ship. Swords is about the intellect. It's the air element. It's about how we communicate. It's about our reason. It's about balance and fairness, legalities. things like that. So it could be that he's appearing to sort of bring balance back to the situation. However, kings aren't always known for that. So, it could also be that, I mean, he can be a great friend. He can also be a resolute enemy. It depends on how balanced he is within. If he's somebody that wants to visit his opinions on everybody and not listen to anyone, there would be an example of a king that's ill dignified, the King of Swords that would be ill dignified. But in this case, um, I have to think that he's the voice of restraint, the voice of wisdom, the voice of reason. So let's put the 6 at the end. Excuse me. Let's put the 6 at the end. And let's say that maybe we've had an issue with power, both how we deal with it internally and also how we manifest that externally to others. So if this is a misuse of force, maybe we had the voice of reason come in and we're in a better position. Otherwise, he could be commanding something that's a misuse of force, and we're here. So you can see how in the tarot we can go in a couple different directions, can't we? A lot of these cards depend upon the other cards in the reading. We started out with the 6 of Wands, and it looks like a nice scene, doesn't it? He's back home. He's victorious. Everyone's there celebrating, or they're all coming back together celebrating. It's a joyous moment. But is it? Because we don't know what they're celebrating. Did they do a good thing? Did they protect the kingdom? Was that what was supposed to happen? Or is the kingdom one that's oppressive and they've gone out and they've hurt everyone to maintain their power? We don't know that. But here we have Vunyo, the 8th rune of the Elder Futhark. And so, excuse me. So we build on higher self energies of 6 and we move into 8, which is greater leadership, greater sense of unity consciousness. So basically, Vunyo's the wish rune also. So again, we still don't know, do we? Is this about the desire of the king? Is Vunyo about the desire of the king? Typically not. Okay? Typically it would not be. Vunyo is benevolent. So I have to think that maybe we had to make some decisions here, and the king came in and said, now wait a minute, let me give you some advice here on how to approach this situation. You're a little too forceful, maybe you need to back off a little, maybe approach things with, instead of so much fire energy, maybe a little more air energy, a little more water energy to sort of bring compassion into the mix and reason into the mix, so that when you come out of it and you're victorious, you actually have something to be proud of, something that's benevolent and loving and joyous. Vunyo comes after Gebo in the Elder Futhark. And so if you look at it in terms of progression, Gebo is about balanced energy exchange. Moving into Vunyo, which is about harmony and empathy and fellowship and peace. So I think that, again, this time the rune's going to determine the direction of all of this, isn't it? So I think instead of the king being anything other than benevolent or reasonable or wise, I think that maybe some issues of how we manifest power, both within and without, maybe are coming up. And maybe we need to either go within and seek that higher self perspective, which the King of Swords could indicate here, so that when we go and make whatever decision we need to make or manifest whatever, you know, choices that we're doing here, that they're based on balanced reasoning instead of simply willful desire that's out of control. You know, you can't let go of the fact that these two are chained to ego. And even though he represents both as above, so below, bringing in, remember, there is spirit here. We're not chained to that. We're chained to the physicality. We're chained to the egoic sense of self. One of the things about swords is that, particularly like with the Queen of Swords, well, but any of them really, it almost seems like the goal of that whole experience, of the swords experience or the air element experience, is to learn how to cut through the crap of things, both the stuff that's coming from within you and the stuff you're experiencing out in the world. It's just about cutting through the crap and seeing what's true, seeing what's real, getting past the nonsense, getting past the chaos, getting past the lies, and coming into full clarity on things. So if the balance within and how we manifest power as a result is not right, then perhaps we're going to manifest that in a way that's oppressive. And what the king is trying to suggest to us is, you know, we really don't want to do that. That there's actually a better way, that if we come together in unity and in fairness and in a way that is respectful and balanced, that we can come out of it in a unified experience like we're doing here. And we can actually have something that benefits instead of, you know, benefits all instead of just benefits self. And then that's where Vunyo comes into play. So this is not a negative reading at all. It's not a difficult reading at all. It's just saying, look, you know, we've just been experiencing some imbalance. Maybe ego's gotten away, and we need to just bring that under control a little bit here and have higher self inform the process and understand the greater message here behind whatever it is that this has to deal with. I mean, it could be any number of things. Just depends on what's going on in our lives, how this may apply. But yeah, I just think it's just the basic difference between as above, so below, and having more of the above inform the process than the above inform the process, and so the below informing it so much. Be in the manifesting or creative vibration of it instead of the reactive vibration of it, to where all we're doing is reactive. Take command of the situation. Take command of the ego. Take command of this process within. In other words, be the adult in the room over your own childlike nature. Sometimes we need to do that. It's not fun, is it? But, you know, you got to anyway. Well, that's cool. That's interesting. I have to say, I wasn't sure. It's like, okay, you know, this looks positive, and uh-oh, now we have the devil. It's like, well, we better find out what all this really is. I don't think we need to go for the card, though. I think we know what this is. So anyhow, well, oh, I wanted to remind everybody, I will be late tomorrow because, again, my husband's got another doctor's appointment at the VA. And we're lucky here. They finally, a few years back, they put a local VA clinic in for veterans here in Central Oregon. Before that, you know, because we live so far away, he could actually see a regular doctor. But they don't really like the fee schedules, so they don't like to take veterans. That's why I think this whole privatization thing is such a joke. You know, we've been doing it forever, and we know it doesn't work. So if they simply would pay, if the government would pay the doctors what they want to be paid, it'd be fine. But they don't want to do that, and I understand that. They can't. This is taxpayer stuff paying for it, so we have to negotiate fee schedules. Well, I get that they don't want to do that, but I don't know. You can't leave veterans hanging like they seem to want to do. But anyway, we have a clinic here, and it's great, but you know, a lot of things it doesn't have an x-ray machine, doesn't, and then when the Republicans weren't paying back when Obama was still in office, they weren't paying the bills, and so they had control of Congress at that point. They weren't paying the bills, and so our local hospital, unless a veteran had separate insurance over and above the VA, you couldn't, or paid out of pocket, you couldn't get an X-ray done because the government wasn't paying the bill. And so they just stopped taking veterans unless there was some other means of payment. And so my husband had hurt his knee, and he went there, and they drained the blood out of it, but they didn't take an X-ray. And my husband was defiant and said, "Well, no, I'm not going to Portland to get it X-rayed." And no, we're not going to pay for it out of pocket. And so they drained it, and he came home, and eventually I just did poultices on it, and it was fine. But and then he heard it again last summer, and I immediately put comfrey poultices on it, and it was fine. So he's just I'm his doctor now. I'm his herbalist. So anyhow, but basically, they're great up there, and he was up there to get his eyes looked at yesterday, and so he has to go tomorrow, and for the primary care appointment, and just to get his checkup and stuff. So that's early in the morning, but I'm not sure what time we'll be back. So this will likely it won't likely, it will get posted later. Maybe, I don't know. Hopefully it'll be up by noon. Otherwise, maybe one-ish. I don't know. It's not going to be much beyond that because we're not going to be there all day. Just maybe an hour or so. But you never know when he's going to get in. So it was packed yesterday. So, but in any event, I just wanted to remind you guys of that. And again, check out the blog. The homeschooling post is up, and then there'll be a moon magic post up today. So I'm calling it moon magic instead of lunar transits. I'm not an astrologer. I just like this stuff, and I like looking at it. So there you go. And I share. So anyhow, check that out over at imsteppingaside.com, and click subscribe here. I'd love you to do that if you haven't already. And I guess we'll see you tomorrow. So thanks so much for coming by. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.